The athletes, their stories, and some rich history. This is the journey to Beijing.
Hello everyone, and welcome on our journey to Beijing. I'm Andrew Marden, and I'm coming to you from beautiful Salt Lake City, Utah, the host of the 2002 Winter Olympics. By the time February gets here, it'll have been 20 years since those Winter Olympics, the last Winter Olympics in the United States. Before we get into the show, I'd like to introduce the members of our team. These talented reporters will join myself, as well as photojournalists David Kraut and Jeff Myers, in Beijing to provide coverage of the 2022 Winter Olympics. They are Jack Doles from Grand Rapids, Michigan. We call him the Godfather because he's been to a dozen Olympics. Matt Barnes is based in Columbus, Ohio. Beijing will be his second Olympic Games, Tokyo being the first. Same story for Marielena Balouris from Norfolk, Virginia, who is also with us in Tokyo. And Jala Washington will make her Olympic reporting debut. She's in Austin, Texas. Beijing is hosting its first Winter Olympics. Not that long ago, it hosted a Summer Olympics, 2008. That makes Beijing the first city to host both a Summer and a Winter Olympics. The hope is these upcoming Winter Games are as memorable as the Summer Games 13 years ago. Who can forget Michael Phelps winning 8 gold medals, a new record for a single Olympics? The previous record of 7 gold medals, set by Mark Spitz, had stood since 1972. In Beijing in 2008, the world was first introduced to Usain Bolt. He won the 100 meters in 9.69 seconds, a new world record, and the first of 3 consecutive Olympics in which Bolt won gold in the 100 meters. But enough about the 2008 Summer Olympics. The Winter Olympics in 2022 will feature 109 total events in 7 different sports, and some of them are new, such as freestyle skiing mixed team aerials. A lot of the U.S. skiers train here in Park City, where Utah Olympic Park was built for the 2002 Winter Olympics. Now, it's located about 30 miles east of Salt Lake City, and for one couple, it's where their training and their love story takes place. Marielena Balouris has the story.
Ashley Caldwell was 12 years old when she found aerial skiing.
I had always done backflips, but in a controlled gymnastics setting, and so being outside and skiing and having that much more adrenaline, I think, is what hooked me into the sport.
It didn't take long for the Virginia native to fall in love.
You know, it's the thrill, it's the accomplishment of overcoming something that's extremely scary and that we put a lot of hard work into.
But the sport wasn't the only love she found. Caldwell and her teammate, Justin Schoenfeld, are dating.
We first met skiing from freestyle, so we ended up competing together, and eventually we just kind of clicked.
They met about 7 years ago and have been a couple for 3, sharing their lives and their sport.
Being able to share it with someone that actually knows what it feels like is really nice, to have someone, there and supporting you all the time, knows what it's like to be, skiing in a triple backflip.
They each have different strengths and use them to support one another.
Like Justin has, a bunch of technical advantages over me. He's an incredible jumper, and so he can, help me with those technical issues that I have jumping, and then I have a lot of experience that I can help contribute to his jumping, and so we definitely help each other out and boost each other up.
And the couple could make history this year in Beijing. For the first time in the Olympics, there will be a mixed-gender team aerial event. So if Schoenfeld and Caldwell make the team and make it on the podium, they'll be the first couple to medal together in this event.
We're trying to figure out if on the podium we can kiss each other or not. Or if that's not going to be allowed.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Not only are they eyeing Olympic history, they're eyeing Olympic hardware.
Trying to win twice.
Trying to win twice, one with my girlfriend and one individually, and coming home with 2 medals would definitely be...
Come home with 4.
If Caldwell makes the team, Beijing would be her 4th Olympic Games.
I'm going to win. I want to be on top of that podium, and this go around I actually have 2 chances.
For Schoenfeld, it would be his first.
Kind of gives me the chills thinking about it now. The Olympics are just such a big deal to me. It'd just be a dream to be an Olympian and call myself one.
They know the coronavirus will impact their Olympic journey, but after 1 year of training and competing during the pandemic, they're prepared.
Having, everyone on our team vaccinated has been a game changer in the amount of stress that we're all feeling when we are traveling abroad.
And they'll continue to prepare as February approaches and their shared dreams become closer to reality.
Yeah, we can share that for the rest of our lives, show our grandkids.
Quite the story.
On the journey to Beijing, I'm Marielena Balouris.
Thanks, Marielena. Ashley Caldwell and Justin Schoenfeld will find out in mid-January if they qualify for the Beijing Olympics. That's also when Kayla Kuhn will find out if she is heading to China. Kuhn grew up by a ski resort. Her father was a ski instructor, so to say she was born to ski, it's not exactly a stretch. But nobody is born to do what she does on skis. Here's Jack Doles.
She's been blazing her way down ski hills almost from the time she could walk.
I do. I love the snow. I love the winter. I've been a huge skier my whole life. I started skiing at 18 months old.
Even then, Kayla Kuhn had a brashness that went beyond her years.
Go big or go home.
Going big is a pretty good way to describe Kayla when she ran track and field.
Kayla, kick it!
She'd win big as a gymnast.
It was my first Olympic dream, absolutely. I am not sure how realistic it was.
Until a friend encouraged her to try freestyle, Kayla thought her path to the Olympics might be as a downhill skier.
I am friends with Winter Vanecki, and she was kind of like, hey, come out and try it. You're kind of the perfect person for this. So I went out and I tried it, and then the following year I moved out to the Olympic Training Center in Lake Placid to pursue this dream.
Kayla was 13 at that time. She's lived away from her family home in Boyne City, Michigan ever since.
It wasn't as difficult as I thought it would be. You know, a 13-year-old girl, she's probably worried about missing homecoming and the fun high school experience, football games, and I quickly realized that I was getting an experience that nobody else my age was getting, and I felt really, really fortunate for that.
She's 18 now and still the youngest member of the U.S. team. And Kayla is trending in the right direction to make the Olympic team, with 2 podium finishes in 2021. On the journey to Beijing, I'm Jack Doles.
Thanks, Jack. We are just getting started on our journey to Beijing. Coming up, women's hockey. There's a goalie in Ohio who will be in China, but she won't be playing for Team USA. We'll explain. Plus, did you know that back in the day, a U.S. national park bid to host the Winter Olympics? We'll take you to Yosemite for the details.
This is the journey to Beijing.
Welcome back on our journey to Beijing. Beijing has already hosted an Olympics, so the city knows this, as does Salt Lake City, where we are right now. It's part of history, part of a unique fraternity of cities that have hosted an Olympic Games. Did you know that back in 1932, Yosemite National Park had a chance to join that fraternity? Yosemite National Park is many things: majestic, serene, full of wonder and splendor. People from all over the world visit Yosemite. Back when the park first became a national park in 1890, most people who visited did so in the summer. In 1928, a man named Donald Tressiter had a unique idea.
He went to Switzerland, to St. Moritz, to the Olympics. He saw the Olympics and he thought back to Yosemite, and he said, you know what, I'm going to develop winter sports here in Yosemite, and he wanted Yosemite to be the Switzerland of the West, is what he called it.
Donald Tressiter was the president of the Yosemite Park and Curry Company. He would later become the president of Stanford University. He was known as both an entrepreneur and a visionary, and the person who put in the official bid for Yosemite National Park to host the 1932 Winter Olympics.
It was Yosemite Valley is what the official bid said, Yosemite Valley, California. Nothing in any of the archives that talk about a reaction, whether people thought it was wonderful or people thought it was horrible.
Either way, they knew hosting an Olympics was a real possibility.
Where I'm standing now, and up here at Curry Village, was a toboggan run. It was known as Ash Can Alley, where people would toboggan down 800 feet. There was an ice skating rink that's no longer here that was built, and that was really a regulation skating rink.
That rink hosted the Olympic trials for speed skating leading up to the 1932 Games. However, Lake Placid won the bid to host that year's Winter Olympics, beating out both Yosemite and Lake Tahoe. It was the first Winter Olympics held in the United States.
I don't think we lost out because of the scenery or the location. It had to do with hotel rooms and the games and infrastructure. Had Yosemite gotten the Olympics, I think there might have been more development, but overall, I don't think it would have changed much.
Kind of makes you wonder though, right? What if Yosemite National Park does have a connection to the 2002 Winter Olympics here in Salt Lake City through Scott Gedeman? He was there. He was on assignment working for the U.S. National Park Service. He was sharing the stories of how public lands, state parks, recreation areas, were used for the Olympics.
So I said, sure, I'll sign up. I'm a big Olympics fan, and signed up. And so I was very lucky I was selected. I got to work in the National Media Center. I got to work in Park City and Utah Media Center. We conducted interviews with journalists from all over the world about the Olympic venues. We got to talk about the importance of public lands and how they're preserved. And I got to go to a lot of the events. I got to go to downhill skiing, the bobsled, and it was just one of the most magical experiences of my career.
And he collected pins while at the 2002 Olympics. But you knew that. Behind me is where they played hockey at the 2002 Olympics. Both the U.S. men and the U.S. women won silver. In Beijing in February, a young woman will try for an Olympic medal in hockey, but not for Team USA. In fact, she's also trying for a national championship while playing for a top 5 team. Matt Barnes has the story.
I don't see it as pressure. I just see it as like a challenge, basically. That's the thing I love about being a goalie, is that having that challenge and having that opportunity to be the game changer.
Between the pipes and between the ears, it takes a special person to be a goalie in hockey. Andrea Brandley is that person. In fact, she's taken on the challenge since she was around 6 years old, growing up in a hockey-centric family in Switzerland.
My parents are pretty straightforward. They will tell me if I'm not good. So they were saying oh, you're really talented and everything, and they never convinced me to do something else. So that means I was pretty good, I guess.
And she's been good for years. After a great junior career, Andrea was named to the Swiss national team at the 2018 Winter Olympics in Pyeongchang. But at just 18 years old, she didn't play in one game.
It was hard because as an athlete, you always want to compete and you want to show what you're capable of doing.
Since Pyeongchang, Andrea has played at Ohio State and become the program's all-time winningest goalie. And this summer, she started on the world stage as the starting goalie for the Swiss team at the World Championships in Canada, helping lead the team to a 4th-place finish.
Our goal was just to win the quarterfinal game, basically, and now I feel a lot of us have that hope of winning a medal, and I feel like we are capable of doing that.
With the Olympics coming in the middle of her senior season with the Buckeyes, Andrea had a big decision to make.
I had those thoughts about should I come here, should I stay back home and take a year off because of all the traveling. But at the same time, I am a Buckeye and I love playing here, and this is my second home. If I had the chance to even play one game, I would come here, even if I have to travel 24 hours.
It'll make for a busy winter for Andrea, but she wouldn't have it any other way.
Oh my God, it's gonna be really busy and really, really hard. It's so much hockey going on and so many huge tournaments, and that first World Championship really got me in the mood of I want more. I really want more. I want more of that success I had there. I want more of playing hockey on the best level possible. I want to show what we can do and what women can do in general.
Now, if the Swiss team makes its way to the bronze medal game in Beijing, that would give Andrea about 48 to 72 hours to get back to Columbus for the Buckeyes' senior night. As of now, she plans to be there and play. On the journey to Beijing, I'm Matt Barnes.
Thanks, Matt. The women's hockey tournament is expanding from 8 teams to 10 teams for the Beijing Olympics. The U.S. and Canada are considered the favorites to win gold. The U.S. beat Canada to win gold in Pyeongchang. As for men's hockey, it'll look different in Beijing than it did in Pyeongchang. That's because of the return of NHL players. Their participation was confirmed in September after the NHL Players Association, and the International Ice Hockey Federation reached a joint agreement. We understand how passionately NHL players feel about representing and competing for their countries, said NHL Deputy Commissioner Bill Daly. We are very pleased that we were able to conclude arrangements that will allow them to resume best-on-best competition on the Olympic stage. The Olympic men's hockey tournament will begin on February 9th. Still to come on our journey to Beijing, meet an Olympic hopeful who went from playing college basketball to being recruited for bobsled. Her story next.
This broadcast is presented by the authority of the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form without the express written consent of the United States Olympic and Paralympic Committee. This is the journey to Beijing.
Here at Utah Olympic Park, they have something called the Winter Bobsled Experience. This track hosted both skeleton and bobsled events during the 2002 Olympics. For $195, you too can experience what it's like to go up to 60 miles per hour. So how does someone who grew up playing basketball get into this? Our Jala Washington has the answer.
Growing up training and playing basketball all across Texas, Sylvia Hoffman had no idea she'd end up trying to qualify for the Olympics in bobsledding. Those who know her, though, this is no surprise at all. Let me tell you, this girl has a fire inside of her, and only time will tell whether that'll take her to the very top.
Inside a U.S. Olympic training facility in Lake Placid, New York, this level of focus is what you get every time with bobsled brakewoman Sylvia Superwoman Hoffman, a nickname she earned from her teammates.
I want to be the fastest one out there in the world. We're going down an icy hill for about, like 55 seconds to a minute.
Push faster, go harder.
I'm just zoned in.
Determined to punch her ticket to the Beijing Olympic Games.
One of those things where you have to be ready when it counts.
And that time is now.
I made a promise to myself. I was like, if you're this talented and you're this dedicated, why not give your all and just see what happens?
But it's how she got here that makes Hoffman even more impressive.
So I competed for USA weightlifting for 8 years.
That was after years of running track, playing volleyball, and college basketball. But she knew her athletic career didn't end with any of those sports.
I saw an advertisement for the next Olympic Hopeful Scouting Camp.
Hoffman landed a spot on the reality show, The Next Olympic Hopeful, where she was recruited to be on the U.S. women's bobsled team.
You didn't know it was going to be bobsledding. You just wanted to go to the Olympics.
Yeah. I just wanted to go to the Olympics, and I was like, pick a sport. I'm really great. I'm a great athlete. I was like, let's see what these coaches see in me.
Back home in Arlington, Texas, Hoffman's parents reflect on all of Sylvia's success.
TKO national championship.
They're, of course, cheering her on, as they always have.
If she want to do it, she's going to do it. She once said she want to go to the moon. So once this is all over with, we don't know if she might do that or not.
No dream has ever been too big.
We thank you for just the self-motivation that you have to get to where you are. That's what makes us so proud of you.
From the high school basketball court to now.
She found her gift, and she has exceeded.
In her 4th bobsledding season,
I have a lot to give and show people.
Hoffman is pushing until she has nothing left.
The title Olympian, you can't remove it.
On the journey to Beijing, alongside photojournalist Rick Easton, I'm Jala Washington.
Can you imagine having a piece of the magic will throw you above?
Thanks, Jayla. Sylvia Hoffman has already accomplished a lot in the sport of bobsled. She's a national push champion, and she's won multiple World Cup medals. By the way, she played basketball at LSU Shreveport. During the 2010-2011 season, she played in 30 games, averaging 3.5 points. We'll be right back.
We are history makers, risk takers, renegades, and record breakers. We are working moms and full-time dads, music makers, dancers, and sneakerheads. We are activists and veterans. We are proud of what we do and who we are. We are Team USA.
Welcome back. Before we go, we should probably tell you exactly when the Beijing Olympics will take place. Competition begins on February 2nd with curling, mixed doubles, round robin. The opening ceremony, which marks the official start to the games, is on February 4th. The closing ceremony is February 20th. The Paralympics will start less than 2 weeks later on March 4th. They will run through March 13th. The Olympic mascot. Let's get to know Bing Dun Dun. It's a panda wearing a full-body shell made of ice. It kind of looks like an astronaut suit, and that's not by accident. It's a nod to technology and the future. This particular design was chosen from roughly 5,800 submissions. As we get closer to Beijing 2022, we continue to monitor COVID-19. We saw how Tokyo handled the pandemic this summer. Beijing has its own guidelines. Foreign spectators are banned, and there are vaccine protocols for athletes. Any participant who is not vaccinated will have to spend 21 days in quarantine upon arrival in Beijing. All U.S. athletes must be vaccinated. That comes directly from the USOPC, which did not require athletes to be vaccinated for the Tokyo Games, though it was recommended. And about 83% of them chose to be vaccinated. Here's the direct quote from the CEO of the USOPC. The stark reality is that this pandemic is far from over. This step will increase our ability to create a safe and productive environment for Team USA athletes and staff, and allow us to restore consistency in planning, preparation, and service to athletes. That's it for us. Thank you so much for watching. I'm Andrew Marden. We'll see you next time on our journey to Beijing.